I was on a bus one day and I was coming into the medical center in Houston. While I was on my way to the bus stop, I had this communication, this decompression. It was describing a transactional process, and the understanding I had is that it had to do with a major deposit that was happening to some pension fund associated with my proximity to that particular medical complex. And it was very racialized and it was very specifically orchestrated. The understanding was is that there was a conception, and the conception was that you had to get through the Muslims in order to get to the shrine. Then you got the Jew. And the point was, once you got the Jew, you needed to convert him into the Christian girl because she was the Holy of Holies. I saw it, and I've seen it play out, metaphorically, literally. The understanding is the Muslims represent different things. At some point, somebody made his Muslims senators. This was into 2017, beginning of 2018. Now, senators, as in literal members of the Senate, or senators in some sort of concept of a trans historical attempt to identify a particular scheme, i.e., Roman. I'm not really certain of that. But I've seen this play out time after time after time. The Muslims are a sort of gendarme. You can deploy them to go get things for you, bring them back. They'll give you whatever it was they got in the field. They're standing there. They're kind of like a fortification. They're expendable. You can get through them. Then you got to get into the shrine. The shrine, usually a fixed asset of some sort. That is the foundation upon which other things are based. Then you got to get the Jew. And the Jew changes. What the actual Jew is. Who's the Jew? What that means. But the point is that the Jew is supposed to defer to the lady who's a good Christian girl. And once he consummates the transaction, you convert it. I learned at some point later that this is actually part of a life insurance paradigm. And I think it's an old one. I think it's an old one, and I think not only is it an old one, but the understanding is that it is, I believe, concurrent with changes that, at least historically in the state of Texas, correlate with changes to the insurance code that also correlate with changes to the Book of Common Prayer. I honestly think they did this. I honestly think there are people in the insurance sector that created a life insurance paradigm based on that kind of systematology. And when they create life insurance policies associated with certain pension benefit systematologies, that's the kind of manner in which it is composed. That's the way it moves forward. Now, I did not know at the time that they were making changes to the presidential pension system, as in the President of the United States, that are set to go into effect this coming summer. I also did not know that at that time they were evaluating and in the process of passing changes to the congressional pension system. Now, the understanding I have is that at some point these things got recalibrated with the Good Friday Agreement and with the Oslo Accords. It's one of the reasons why they still haven't said anything about this Northern Ireland exception when it comes to equal opportunity employment in Texas, and why Israel's a permanent funder of school bonds. You understand what I'm saying? I hope you do. I hope this clears up any miscommunication. Now, the relationship between this completely atrocious policy and any sort of trans historical or long term deals that may have been had, including ones that may have lasted 100 or 200 years, needs to at some point be resolved in a civil manner. But if I'm not mistaken, we've got 5 days until the anniversary of what was supposed to be the Brexit, the 1 year anniversary. I saw how horribly, horribly anti-Semitic, the games that those alleged leaders in the United Kingdom played for years. You repudiated the spirit and the will of the people to actually deal with the completely reprehensible pension system changes you imposed upon the European Union, and then you decided you were going to withdraw from the obligations after you had done what? With your subordinated bond scam in conjunction with these people here in the United States. You should have supported the will of the people in protesting economic subjugation. You should have supported the will of the people that wanted to address immigration outside of a need to fill racial quotas for kickbacks to old timers that seem to be too preoccupied with maintaining their porn addiction than actually doing the right thing. The only thing I would accept from any British legacy I have is this guy. You know why? Because he's going to get me TJ's letter back. I want my letter from my ancestor. I want the letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to King George, repudiating the systematology the British were trying to impose on the United States in its nascent days, including its slave trade, its imposition of slavery upon the United States so as to disparage us and try to keep us under the sway of the crown and its divine right to chastise certain groups of people and make them the property of others. I want the letter where he lets them know that the Saxons were not just some feeble wasps that sit around and speculate on other people's prowess for their economy. That they were a proud people that had thrown off the tyranny of imposed serfdom and refused to own another person as property, hence necessitating their need to leave as political dissenters. I want my letter from my ancestor back. It's very simple. It was delivered to the King of England. I believe you still have it. It's not yours. You should have taken it under consideration, but it doesn't seem like you did that. I know we're supposed to romanticize the fact that there's still a queen and all that it means, all she had to see, all she witnessed in her role during the 20th century into the 21st century. But before her, there were others of us. That's our legacy. That's what we want. We don't need porn. We don't need titillation. We don't need fish and chips. You understand? That's what we're due.